What's up? It's Alexander Madison, running back from the Minnesota Vikings, and you're watching Clock Management.
Welcome, everybody. It is the 29th of November, 2019. This is Clock Management, brought to you by the Rum Boys Fantasy Network. I'm your host, Justin, and as always, I am joined by Perry.
Yeah, and Justin, I was going to flirt with you, but I think I'm just going to seduce you with my awkwardness.
It's working.
I know. I'm weird.
I was obviously we just had Thanksgiving, and so I found a horrible dad joke for you, Perry.
I told your last horrible dad joke at Thanksgiving.
Nice.
How'd
it go?
As expected.
Standing applause. Oh
no, I told some good jokes about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, though. Those went over really well.
Yeah, they always do.
Mm-hmm. They're solid.
So what
like
does
a rock.
I mean, this is clock management. So what does a clock do when it's hungry?
I don't know.
It goes back 4 seconds.
Nice.
See,
nice.
Thanksgiving and clock management, man.
What do you do when you slap Dwayne Johnson's butt?
I don't run.
You hit rock bottom.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got another one, but it's not appropriate for this family show that we run here.
I went to a comedy show the other day. There were a bunch of jokes, and I don't think any of them I can tell on here. Oh man, there was one. So there was a guy there who, before they introduced him, they told the crowd, like, apparently this guy had some sort of accident and had severe brain damage. And then afterwards decided he wanted to be a comedian. So he came out, he had some giant note cards, almost full-size papers with each one of his jokes written on it. And like this guy was a character. Like, he had a lot of personality, and one of his jokes was finger guns. You can, a lot of people are against the Second Amendment, but go ahead or you could take these babies from me when you come prime from my cold, dead hands.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that one.
Yeah.
I'll be telling that one.
He also had some that I'm not sure if they had a punchline to them. He cracked me up. He seemed like a lot of fun to be around just as a human being.
Just like you, buddy.
But anyway,
like you.
So you guys can obviously catch us on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I switched them around a little bit there this time.
I almost forgot we were recording.
I know, right? And we're still giving away a DeAndre Hopkins autographed jersey on, let's see, today is Friday. I believe we'll be doing that
next week?
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're giving it away next week. It's start fantasy playoffs, man. This is the last week of the regular season for most people. And so
how great would that be if you listen to our show? You obviously are going to win a fantasy championship, and you get an autographed DeAndre Hopkins jersey.
That's a win-win-win right there.
Right?
Yeah. That's three levels of win.
How was your Thanksgiving, Perry?
It was great, man. I got gravy, so there was no complaints.
It was all gravy.
Yeah, we didn't have turkey. We had a goose and a duck for Thanksgiving.
Nice.
I'd had duck before, and the duck was delicious. I liked it a lot. I had never had goose before, and it was good. Duke is like Duke. Goose is like, it's like red meat. It's almost like beef. It's kind of interesting, but it was really good.
So you guys were playing duck, duck, goose?
Yeah, that was the joke going around the table.
Nice.
Low-hanging fruit there.
Yeah, going around the table. I get it.
Yeah. Thank you. No, it was a good Thanksgiving. Got to hang out with the wife's side of the family. And now we're back at producer Sean's house. I just stole a beer from his fridge. It is a peach sour. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's our Friday. I got I got turn it the right way, Justin, so everyone can see. So I got a pyramid, another pyramid beer here. It's the Would Be Coffee Pale Ale.
Nice. Pyramid's a good brewery.
Yeah, I saw the Would Be Coffee, and I didn't know that this even existed. For all of you who don't know this, Would Be Island is the island that me and Perry both grew up on. So
I'm literally sitting on it right now.
yeah, that's amazing.
Don't come find me and kill me, though, please.
No
Can't
promises.
give you fantasy advice
No
if I'm
promises. I am playing you this week, so
I know.
I may need to.
You might beat me. I didn't have a strong start.
I know. I saw
I had no
that.
K start. Like it wasn't like a abysmal, but
Yeah, it wasn't
should have been
ideal.
strong. Yeah.
Tonight I'm taking my wife to Seattle, and we're going to a maze there, and there's ice skating through the maze and through a bunch of other stuff and some shops and cool stuff.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'll let you guys know for the next episode. So.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'll post some pictures of it too on Twitter.
Perfect.
Get everyone excited about it.
If you find your way out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
This could turn into an episode. Well, an episode. This could turn into The Shining.
It could. I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
You know what is really funny? I'm literally reading The Shining right now.
Your phone's vibrating, Perry.
Yeah, I know. There's people that love me.
Tell them stop.
I'm reading The Shining right now, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, let's talk about some football. I
Yeah,
think that's what this is about.
Why don't we? The holidays, they get us all squirrely. All right. I get that gravy in me. I get all distracted. But let's get back on point here. I've got news to talk about. If you want to jump into that, Damian Williams. You guys all know how I feel about Damian Williams. I did not think that he would last the season, and he hasn't lasted the season, and he's not playing this week. So Damian Williams is ruled out for Week 13 against the Raiders. Pretty good matchup. It would have been nice to see him in. The Raiders are kind of a middle-of-the-pack defense. I expect LaShawn McCoy to have a pretty good week, and even Darrell Williams to have a pretty good week. It's a high-powered offense. It's possible that they both see the end zone here. It's possible that they both get a lot of work. So I kind of have them both at low-end RB2s. I do have LaShawn McCoy a little ahead of Darrell Williams, though. So, yeah, Damian Williams going forward, I wouldn't trust him any game in the playoffs. I would not play Damian Williams. And I think it's also important to remember moments like this when we start talking about next year, right? This is the last week of the regular season. We got to start thinking about next year, just taking notes, jotting them down. Damian Williams cannot last. So no matter what we're told in the offseason, be prepared to tell everybody that Damian Williams is not your guy, in my opinion. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say he can't last. Maybe he will in the future, but he is definitely a lot higher injury risk than people were talking about this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said it. He played like 4 games last season, and everybody was ready to crown him as like a top 4 running back just because of the offense that he was on. And it was like, we have no idea if this guy can handle the workload, and he obviously couldn't. And to be completely honest with you, when he did have the workload, it wasn't all that good. So I don't know. I think he should be owned probably, but I'm not going to rely on him whatsoever. Not as an RB1 or 2.
No, yeah, he'd be a great just like on your bench running back where you could start him in key situations. But yeah, with his injury risk, I'm also not starting him.
Sure. Evan Ingram ruled out for Week 13. This is not much of a surprise as he hasn't played since Week 9. It is a bummer though, because Evan Ingram was having a wonderful season until this foot injury held him out. I would probably shy away from keeping Evan Ingram on your bench through the playoffs. So to be honest with you, maybe go and grab one of your running back handcuffs instead. Obviously, you've been starting a tight end in lieu of Evan Ingram. I would continue to start that tight end. We'll talk about another tight end here in a little bit that you could probably stream instead, but I don't know if I want to rely on Evan Ingram going forward. And I don't know if the Giants really want him to come back this season, to be completely honest with you. They're not playing for anything. So next season, though, I do like Evan Ingram Dynasty. So
I mean, any type of league, dynasty, redraft.
Sure. Oh yeah, of course. I'm just saying, if you're into dynasty, I would not get rid of him this year. I would hold on to him. Just let him sit there on your bench. Julio Jones was ruled out for Thursday's game. Obviously, that game already happened. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is we need to be prepared that he might miss next week as well. So just that might happen. Be prepared for that to happen. I expect Calvin Ridley to take a big bulk of the work. And then maybe in Russell Gage or Christian Blake could see some additional targets. Although I think I would really only reliably tell you to start Calvin Ridley. But just be prepared if Julio doesn't play next week, that might be the case that you need to pivot and find somebody else to fill that spot.
Yeah, I was talking about Ridley on Thursday when I did the live chat or video because if Julio doesn't play, he's instantly the wide receiver 1 there. And you saw during this game, Lattimore left for a little while. As soon as Lattimore was not on that field, they were hyper targeting Ridley, and he was performing.
Oh, he's talented, man. I don't think Calvin Ridley has really anything to prove, right? We know he's a good player. It's always just been, Matt Ryan needs to be on point to feed both of those guys.
Yeah.
And Matt Ryan hasn't necessarily been on point this season. The Falcons haven't been on point this season. I mean,
Matt Ryan was feeding Calvin Ridley and the defense this week. So
exactly. So let's move on here to T.Y. Hilton. He had a setback with his injury. He's going to miss the game Sunday. I think this news broke yesterday, so I'm sure a lot of us have heard about it already. But
it also broke my heart.
It does break my heart. I like T.Y. Hilton. I want T.Y. Hilton to do well. But I did kind of hint to this being a possibility a couple weeks ago when he was just coming back. T.Y. Hilton, very good, but a little injury prone at times in his career. And when he is fighting those injuries and he's in and out, he tends to not perform all that well. That being said, there is a bright side to this, and that's with Zach Pascal. I really like Zach Pascal next week or even this week, of course. And if T.Y. misses next week, I like Zach Pascal even in the playoffs. He's going to be the number 1 receiver there. So that's great. I also expect the Colts to focus on the running game a little more. Help me out. Not Jamal Williams.
No, the other Williams.
The other Williams, man. Ooh, I'll pull it up here in just a second. Definitely like him a lot. Justin's pulling it up for me. Yep. I can hear him. I'm hearing clickety clacking away. Man, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this name right. David Blough.
They pronounced it during at least the announcers were pronouncing it as Blough.
Blough. That's how it's spelled. Okay. So David Blough is expected to start week 13 for Detroit.
Jonathan Williams.
Yeah. Sorry, not expected to start. He did start yesterday. Sorry, I'm working in the past here a little bit. With Stafford out and Driscoll out, Blough had his first start, and he played fairly well, to be completely honest with you. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. They were kind of behind, so they were playing catch-up a little bit. But he did well.
I thought he was about to tear it up for a second because he came out there, and that first drive, I think he threw it. I think his first pass was for a touchdown and like 80 yards. Yeah.
I guess the reason I'll bring this up is because I kind of just see him as maybe a slight downgrade, but kind of just a lateral move from Jeff Driscoll. I know Jeff Driscoll played well, but I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. He's okay, right? So I think the rules that we were talking about with Driscoll apply to Blough as well. I like Kenny Golladay still. He's still the number 1 receiver there. Marvin Jones, you can start him if you have to. if you have to, but I would try and find somebody else to start in lieu of him. Maybe if you can grab Zach Pascal over the T.Y. Hilton owner, that would be good. But anyways, yeah, the Detroit Lions, I think it's kind of a lateral move mostly. Devlin Hodges is now the Steelers starting quarterback going into week 13. You excited about that, Justin?
I'm more excited than I was when Mason Rudolph was.
yeah. I think Mason Rudolph is more excited. There's no chance of him getting hit in the head while he's not playing.
No, there's just it's significantly lower.
Yes. This is the rematch with the Browns, is it not?
Oh, I thought you were going to say with Myles Garrett. No, yeah, that's this week.
That's this week, right? So that's interesting. Do you think that had something to do with it?
No, because he came in last week and played better. So
yeah, he played well.
Yeah,
led them to a win.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it's really about. Is just you got to reward that. Like,
sure.
You can't reward Mason Rudolph with starting after he got benched for his poor performance.
What does this do for the pass catchers in Pittsburgh?
I think it makes Juju relevant. You could talk about
him. Plays.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, he's out. Juju's out.
Dang.
Just about to cover that. So
yeah. So I mean, that sucks.
I think James Washington.
Yeah, I was going to say James Washington. They seem to connect. Went last week. So, which is crazy because didn't Washington go to college with Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
and he seemed to have a better connection immediately with Duck.
Yeah, I would definitely start Washington this week, and I honestly think Hodges might be a sneaky streamer against the Cleveland defense.
Yeah, I think
isn't that great?
Depending on the size of your league, I could see him maybe top 10, but. I think he'll be a top 15 quarterback for sure. So top half of the league.
For sure. We'll move on to the two Steelers that people are probably wondering if this is going to affect at all. But Juju, like I just spoke about, he is ruled out for week 13. He's cleared their concussion protocol, but he's still dealing with a knee injury, and they're not going to risk it. In fact, he's only questionable for week 14, first week of the playoffs. I would plan on not having Juju at least through the first week of the playoffs. I don't even know if I'd start him if he were playing in week 14. He hasn't been Juju of last year, even when he's healthy, and he's clearly not healthy now. So the other Steeler that people are wondering about probably is James Conner. He's currently doubtful for week 13, so he's not considered out yet, but I truly don't expect him to play. Like I said last week, they have no reason to rush him back. They don't need him because I don't think they really care, and they want him for the playoffs should they make it there.
Yeah. Are you starting any of their running backs if he does not play?
I think Benny Snell, like you brought him up, I think last episode.
Yeah.
I think he's an RB2 to flex in that range. High end RB, like his high end is running back 2, his low end is probably flex. I think he'll see some passing work.
Yep, and I think with Duck playing, you'll see more production out of the running backs.
Absolutely. I think Benny Snell could have somewhere around 6 receptions for like 40 to 45 yards, and then probably like another 15 to 18 carries. So he should get lots of work. The opportunity will be there. So yeah, I would start Benny Snell. Last piece of news I had was regarding Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is quietly having a pretty good season, in at least with tight end standards, right? So people are definitely starting him. He was drafted to start, but he just started practicing again today, Friday, and they play Sunday. I don't know if he's going to play, and I think people need to be prepared and be ready. Have those notifications turned on for Twitter so you can hear from us right away if Zach Ertz is out. And if he is, Dallas Goedert is an immediate start for me. He is a top 10 tight end if Zach Ertz sits. Dallas Goedert is a must-start streamer for the Eagles. And that is all the news I had, Justin.
Awesome. Well, I got some again, before I get into the news no one cares about, I got another one that I feel like people should care about.
Another one.
And again, it's Richard Sherman. He just donated $27,000 to schools in California to pay for students' lunch debts, because you can't graduate if you have a debt with the school. So he paid off $27,000 so students in impoverished areas could graduate.
And he does things like that, and you're like, I love this guy,
right?
And then he does something on the field where he it's just like, why, man? I think he's just hyper competitive and lets it get away with.
Kind of like Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who is also a really good guy. From what I can tell. But.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a similar thing. I just read them like, man, he stays doing this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, now let me get into some news no one cares about.
Okay.
Russell Wilson says he wants to play until he's 45 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares?
A long way to go. He's like 30, isn't he?
Yeah, like between now and then, you know how many injuries and other stuff could happen? Like,
let's see how many sacks he takes from now to age 37, and then see if he wants to play for another 7 years after that.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just like that's become a standard line from quarterbacks nowadays.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I were being paid like $100 million, I would probably want to play until I'm 45 too.
Yeah, for sure. Just ask Brett Favre.
The Buffalo Bills trolled Dak and Zeke after the game. While they were eating their turkey, players were standing behind the players who got the turkey legs doing the feed me thing from Zeke, while another player could be seen doing the Dak dance.
The Bills, okay, you know what I take from that news that I don't care about is that the Bills are real.
Yeah, oh my God.
Or the Bills are good and Dallas is bad.
What I take from that is that Jason Garrett is fired.
Yep. I said on the Run Boys, Jason Garrett shouldn't even have had the job right now. So
no, he never should have gotten the job to begin with. He never should have been promoted past an equipment manager, but somehow he did.
One of the most talented teams in the NFL. I would hear an argument that they are the most talented team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they're 6-6. They're probably not going to make the playoffs.
They still have a chance in that division.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, but that's more just talking about how bad that division is.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater broke into some dancing of his own in the locker room, and he can move. One of the players said that what he's going to miss most about playing football is Teddy Bridgewater dancing in the locker room.
That must be really good.
Right? I mean, I'm just excited to see his Dancing with the Stars audition.
I'm excited to see him dance when they win the Super Bowl because the Saints are still my pick.
Oh, man. No,
I know. I know. It's they got a lot to get through, but they can do it.
This week, we're going to see a preview of the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yep. 49ers Ravens.
Okay.
The Super Bowl from 6 years ago.
I hope the Ravens lose I hope the Niners lose in the first round.
You and every Seahawk fan hopes that they won't be in the first round.
I cannot let that sentence go by without noting I am not a Seahawks fan. I don't want to be lumped into that.
I use that opportunity to lump you into that.
You're a monster.
I know.
You're a monster with a microphone.
Last piece of news no one cares about. Speaking of monsters, Josh Shaw suspended through next season for gambling on NFL games.
That's right. I did see that.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that very often in the NFL.
No. And I think a lot of people are probably wondering why he's such a severe punishment.
It's because it affects the integrity of the NFL.
Yeah, and then I think another part to this too is you have a team moving to Las Vegas this year.
Sure, they do. They probably want to set an example or use him to set an example.
Exactly. So I think with the two of those, because if you have they don't want people who are already betting on the NFL to feel like players have fixed the game.
Oh, I mean, exactly. I mean, we don't want to feel that way now before,
I mean, unless it's in my benefit.
I don't even know if I want that then. You know what I mean? It already feels that way sometimes with the refs, right?
Yeah.
The Saints in the playoffs last year, it was like, is this real life? Is this happening? I mean, was that fixed? I don't know. Maybe it was. We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll have to get a hold of Josh Shaw and find out. Maybe he's got some inside information.
Maybe it's either that, or if I had long hair, I would do the thing and be like, aliens.
I mean, this unrelated to football, but did you hear about the referee in the whatever the soccer league's called, that just
MLS?
Sure.
Major League Soccer.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Okay.
But he like, I guess he was taking millions of dollars in bribes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
We did not know that.
Yeah, he just got caught.
Got caught.
Yep.
Sometimes you get got.
And sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know, Justin.
Yeah.
Not often, though. Not often.
Yeah, I thought I had something there. I didn't. All right, let's move on. We got some start sits here.
We're off the rails today, buddy.
I know. It's okay though, because we don't have a guest, so we got a little extra time. So
I'm feeling loosey goosey this evening. Got this beer here, and I've got a root beer downstairs screaming my name.
Whew, I love root beer.
I love root beer, dude. All right, we got some start sits. Why don't you go first?
All right, so the first one we got here is we got Tyrell Williams and Devante Parker.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, I think during your news you mentioned the Chiefs defense being a good matchup. And then Devante Parker plays for Miami, so he's going against the Eagles this week. I think both of those are good matchups for the wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree.
Over the last 3 weeks, Parker's seen double-digit targets every week. And Tyrell Williams, he's seen about half as many targets on average. And I think Williams has a big play ability than Parker does. But it's not really comparable to the garbage time that Parker gets, which is why he sees all those targets.
It is. But it's not just the targets, man. He does something with them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it reminds me of back a few years ago, DeAndre Hopkins, who we're giving away an autographed jersey of if you leave a comment on this video.
Nice plug.
Thank you.
Nice plug.
Thank you. Yeah. Their team was really bad, though. The Texans were horrible. And they were always losing. And then they would just, fourth quarter, he would have like 10 catches every fourth quarter for a touchdown or two. And he just feasted on that in that garbage time. It's like he is the ultimate pig, just rolling around in that garbage, that filth, and I was loving it.
It's the least appealing way to talk about a player you like.
Oh god, but it's true. Like they call it garbage time, and it can benefit you in fantasy. So, I mean, Devante Parker's been doing it. He's the most talented wide receiver there, so I think he's going to continue.
So you're starting Devante Parker?
Yes.
Okay, you never said that, so I wasn't sure. I'm in agreement with you. I'm starting Devante Parker, but I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. I don't think the Dolphins are good. But 10 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets, 10 targets, 10 targets, 11 targets. Those are his target numbers since week 7. He's got 2 touchdowns thrown in there. But I'm just going to take the opportunity, right? The opportunity is with Devante Parker. You know he's going to get the ball. You know he's going to see the ball a lot. Something can happen when he sees the ball. Tyrell Williams, something can happen when he sees the ball too, but he sees the ball far less, exactly like you were saying. I think Devante Parker scored touchdowns in his first 5 games played. There were 2 injury games in there where he did not play. It's important to know that. But that's an unsustainable metric to have, a touchdown per game. There's no way that was going to continue. And a lot of those games, 46 yards, 29 yards, 36 yards, that's, if he doesn't get that touchdown, it's a complete dud. So I think the big play, like you said, is the only thing you're relying on with Tyrell Williams, and I don't really want to try and figure out if that's going to happen or not. There's a fair chance it could happen against KC, but I'm going to go with the guy that's getting the bulk of the work, or as Justin put it, the pig rolling around in the filth.
Yeah, that does sound good. Okay.
I hope he never hears that.
I hope he just like hears it and embraces it. Like he changes, like he becomes like Devante the Pig Parker.
Okay, let's move on here.
Okay, we got sorry. All right, we got Christian Kirk versus Tyler Lockett. You want to go first on this one?
Yeah, so Christian Kirk, we liked him a lot going into the season. Super talented guy. We thought he would probably supplant Larry Fitzgerald as the number 1 receiver there, and I think for the most part he probably has. Larry's still good, but not. I mean, he's done. Larry's done. Christian Kirk has had a couple good weeks in the last, say, 4 games. 11 target game, 10 target game. He's got 3 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks, but they all happened on the same game. I think if that 3 touchdown game had not happened, I think people would be saying Christian Kirk is a bust this season, right? He hasn't had a touchdown in any other game this season. The 3 against Tampa Bay in week 10 is really what has allowed him to be even in this conversation right now. Because of that, I'm actually going to take Tyler Lockett. And I know Tyler Lockett has all these like unsustainable numbers, and that's what we always talk about, but he's had those unsustainable numbers his entire career, really, or at least the last 3 years or so. He's far more consistent when it comes to touchdowns, when it comes to yards, when it comes to targets. He had a really bad game against Philly last week. I know that, but he's got another really good matchup against Minnesota. It's on prime time. Russell Wilson usually shows up and plays in primetime games. He has his best games when they happen in primetime. Tyler Lockett should benefit from that. So I'm going to start Tyler Lockett over Christian Kirk.
So I actually disagree with you on this one. I'm going with Christian Kirk. The reason why is because last week watching, you were talking about Lockett's numbers are down. And to me, the reason why his numbers are down are still from that leg contusion that he had. And so I'm just not sure if he's back to 100% yet, because he did look visibly slower last week. So I don't feel like comfortable until I see him running at 100% again that he is at 100%. And I don't trust what the team puts out when they say he's a full participant and he's good to go, because, I mean, Seattle will lie to you all day. And I do think Kyler Murray has improved throughout the season, so I think that that's going to benefit Christian Kirk during this game. And plus it's been a while since Tyler Lockett has made me eat my words, so I just decided I should go against him and give him that opportunity once again.
Yeah. I think I would agree with you about last week and Tyler Lockett if he hadn't played like his normal amount of snaps. I don't think that the team would have played him as much if he was still injured. He might still be. He might have been slowed. His timing might have been off last week, right? Because he missed some practice time. He didn't miss any game time, but. The fact that they kept him in for his normal amount of snaps is why I'm comfortable with it.
I think you could be you might be right on that. Yeah, he missed all of the practice time. He didn't even make it back till Thursday, or I think Thursday night. So he didn't practice at all. But So I was like, I don't know, my general thinking with it is that it's not a re-injury risk, which is why he's still out there playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's still hampering his movement, and so, or hindering his movement, I guess. And so I think that could be it. And he could be back, or it could have just been a timing thing, as you said. I just want to see it before I'm ready to start him again. And I think that with Christian Kirk playing the Rams, I think it's completely plausible that him and Lockett finish around the same amount of points. So I'm going to start him because if Lockett is still injured, I feel like he could do what he did last week to us and have one catch.
Maybe. All right, let's move on to the next one. Some running backs. Justin, who are you starting? Mark Ingram versus Phillip Lindsay.
Oh, man. Okay, so this was the hardest one for me out of all of these. So they have these two players have almost identical usage over the last 3 weeks. And yet Mark Ingram has been like a must start, and Phillip Lindsay's a player you haven't felt like comfortable starting. Like you might start him, but you're not going to feel that comfortable. And the difference here is touchdowns. Mark Ingram has been finding the end zone this season. Mm-hmm. And that offense moves the ball a lot more. So, I mean, just based off of all of that, I think like the two of these guys, it's going to come down to who scores touchdowns here and the defense that they're going against. The 49ers defense looked amazing against the run. I think that Lamar Jackson probably is going to have some rushing touchdowns in this game. But I think that they're going to be able to, for the most part, bottle up Mark Ingram. So I'm actually going to go with Lindsay here, and I think he's going to win by a touchdown here.
Yeah, I'm going to start Mark Ingram.
Was it that auto start part I said?
No, it's a little bit that, right? Like, I think we preach on this show to start your studs, and I think Mark Ingram has been a stud this season. I know he doesn't have huge yardage numbers, but he finds the end zone. It's on the best offense in the league right now. It's the number one running offense in the league right now. So I'm going to start him, and I do totally understand that they're playing San Francisco, and that means that the numbers are going to be nerfed. Everything is going to be smaller when it comes to this offense, but I still think the offense is going to be able to find ways to score. The fact that he's got 3 receiving touchdowns in the last 2 weeks means that if he can't get the ball going on the ground, I think he can still do some damage in the air, right? He's doesn't get a ton of work, but when he does get the ball, he does something with it. And that threat of Lamar Jackson just holding it on that option and taking off with it makes everybody wait for a second, and it just gives him that 1 second that he needs to get a 7-yard carry, right? So I'm going to stick with Mark Ingram. I don't trust the Denver offense is the main reason why. I think Phillip Lindsay's good, but Drew Lock, it looks like he's going to get the start this week.
Yeah, that's the lock of the week.
In Denver. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I do think that starting the Chargers defense is a pretty good streaming option if you want to go out there and you're trying to make it in the playoffs and you want something big out of your defense. It could be the Chargers this week, to be completely honest with you, because we don't know what we're getting out of Drew Lock. It could be that they use Phillip Lindsay a lot as a safety blanket for him, but it also might not be that case. It might be more 50-50 with Royce Freeman, and they're using both running backs a lot. I know what I'm getting out of Baltimore. I know it's going to be less than what we've gotten, but I have no idea what we're getting out of Denver and Phillip Lindsay. I'm going to take what I know. And honestly, if you've got Mark Ingram, you're probably in the playoffs because he's probably wasn't drafted as your number 1 running back. So you've probably got another guy sitting there ahead of him.
These are probably flex spots for you at this point.
Yeah, Mark Ingram's probably killing it, which means you're probably killing it because you got 2 other guys that are killing it, or at least one other guy that's killing it. So I'm going to stick with Mark Ingram, and it's what I know rather than what I don't know. And trying to make it to the playoffs, I'd rather stick with what I know. But yeah, so that's how I feel. I'll go Mark Ingram.
Man, I like this. I mean, we We normally don't disagree this often on them.
I know.
I like it. And I was just thinking about it while you were talking about that too. I mean, I probably shouldn't bolster your argument, but I'm going to. Uh, Kyler Murray, also one of those other mobile quarterbacks that 49ers struggled with. And in that game, Kenyan Drake also did really good. He is one of the few running backs who was able to perform against the 49ers. So that may be, part of the reason why.
It has everything to do with not knowing what the quarterback's going to do and having to follow that quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They're probably going to have a linebacker shadowing Lamar Jackson the entire game.
I forgot who it was, but one of the defensive players that just played the Ravens recently was saying with them, he's like, you're frozen and you don't, with all the pre-snap stuff and all the movement with, after the snap, not knowing where the ball is. He's like, you're frozen and don't know who has the ball until it's past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, I guarantee that's probably what it looks like from their angle, trying to see over the defensive and offensive linemen. They're very sneaky with that option play, right? Like that ball sits in Mark Ingram's hands and Lamar Jackson's hands for almost a full second.
Yeah, and that's part of the design to it, is it's not designed to go either way, so you can't read the play and be like, oh, this one goes to this guy.
Yeah, it's all about the quarterback's ability to read the defense, and Lamar Jackson is proving he can read the defense. He knows when to hold on to it and go with it. He knows when to hand it off.
And even if he's wrong, he still makes the defense miss.
Right. So, that's exactly why I'm going to go with Mark Ingram. I get that the 49ers defense is good, but so is the Baltimore offense. I think this is the two titans colliding right here. And
like I said, I think
lot.
To me, personally, this is my two picks for the Super Bowl. So, and if I had to pick who's going to win this, I'm betting on Baltimore, which hurts me to say.
Yeah, I'm also betting on Baltimore.
But yeah, I think Lindsay is underrated too for this season. I think he started out with Royce Freeman taking a lot more of the carries, and I think he's established himself as the primary back there.
I totally agree with you. I think the main reason that Phillip Lindsay has got this inconsistency tag stuck to him right now is because the offense is so inconsistent. They've had this is going to be their third starting quarterback. They can't get anything going. They lost their number one wide receiver to San Francisco and Emmanuel Sanders. There's been tons of injuries. It's just Denver's a hot mess right now, and Phillip Lindsay's a talented player trying to make it through this hot mess. So I like Phillip Lindsay. I mean, obviously I do. I'm a Denver fan, but for fantasy purposes, even I like Phillip Lindsay. I think he's a talented player, but he needs to have a consistent, structured team around him in order for him to do well. So I like him. I like him next season for sure.
On a side note, if you're in a dynasty league, I'm trying to target Justice Hill. Yeah, because Mark Ingram isn't going to be around too many more years, and Jackson will, and then that Justice Hill is going to be the running back there for the future.
Yeah, I was talking about Justice Hill in the preseason even. I like Justice Hill a lot. Okay, let's move on here. Yep. We're going to go to the Battle of the Browns. A.J. Brown versus Marquis Brown.
Oh,
who you got? Who you taking?
When you
what
said
you doing?
Battle of the Browns, I thought we were talking about Mason Rudolph again.
Battle of the Browns. Is that what it's going to be called? There was what was the fight in Detroit? It was the
man. I just watched a documentary about this too.
Yeah, it was the brawl at the palace or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyways, back to the topic. So we got AJ Brown versus Marquise Brown or Hollywood Brown. Which I found out recently, the reason why they call him Hollywood Brown is he is born in Hollywood, Florida.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a place?
I guess.
Cool.
I thought he was like your typical wide receiver prima donna, so everyone called him Hollywood. No, it's just where he was born.
No, you're just a jerk.
I know. Yeah, so anyway, back to fantasy. Both of these guys are wildly inconsistent.
Wildly.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't blame them for I expect it because they're rookie wide receivers. That's the typically what you get out of talented rookie wide receivers. Mm-hmm. So it's really not a bad thing for them, but that's where both of them are at. Hollywood is going against the Niners defense as a rookie wide receiver. I don't think that bodes well for him. I think Mark Andrews, on the other hand, is going to benefit a lot from this. Yeah. And so I would not be shocked if Hollywood had 1 or 2 catches in this game. So I'm not going with Hollywood in this game. I don't really want to start A.J. Brown because both of these guys are wildly inconsistent, as I may have said. But if I had to choose one of them, I'm going with A.J. Brown here. I'm expecting him to be somewhere around 7 targets for 75 yards. He's seen some increased production last couple weeks, and I think they might rely on him a little bit more here than they have in the past.
Yes, this one we completely agree on. I think a lot of experts will tell you that A.J. Brown is the play, that Marquis Brown is the play, but I think that has everything to do with what he did early on in this season. Obviously, he had the 2 touchdowns last week, and I understand that, but only on 42 yards, right? I think if Baltimore wins that game, it's going to be under Lamar Jackson's feet, not necessarily his arm. So
yeah,
I completely agree with you. He could have a really weak day.
And A.J. Brown did find the end zone last week too.
Yes, he did, and he had 135 yards. So A.J. Brown against Indy, Indy's been a solid defense, but not incredible. I completely agree with you on the 7 receptions for 75 yards, but I honestly think you could probably tack on a touchdown there, and I think there's probably a 30% chance he finds the end zone, which doesn't sound super high, but if you knew that a player is going to find the end zone 30% of the time,
yeah, and
pretty good.
If you were to guess Marquis Brown's chances of finding the end zone, I mean, personally, I'd probably say it's under 10%.
I would say probably between 7 and 12% that he finds the end zone this week. I don't think they're going to beat him deep. I really don't. So, and that's how he would do it.
Yeah. So I mean, like you were saying, just if you put A.J. Brown at a 30% touchdown, doesn't sound amazing. Right. He probably won't find the end zone. But he also has a 3 times better chance of finding the end zone, which sounds a lot better when you put it in those terms.
Yeah, that's just, in my opinion, that I think that's kind of how it's going to play out. I don't expect gigantic and enormous games out of either of these guys this week, but yeah. I'm gonna go with A.J. Brown. I think it's a safer play this week.
Yep, I agree with you on that one.
And I wanted to go over this. I think the culture in Tennessee is changing with Ryan Tannehill up there. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is incredibly good at football, but I think that Marcus Mariota, it was stagnant there. There was no growth. There was nothing to be excited about. The players felt it, and I think they played knowing that, right? And I think with Tannehill coming in, it's that jolt, it's that punch in the shoulder that the team needed, and I think they're excited about football again, and I think they're playing better because of it. So,
yeah, Derrick Henry is for sure.
Yeah, Derrick Henry is questionable.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that.
All right, the last one, Barry. We got Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold.
Sam the man. This one's easy. This one is easy. I'm starting Sam Darnold 100% for all the reasons that you and I have been preaching for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I really like Sam Darnold, and I don't really care for Carson Wentz this year at all. I know that he already won the MVP, and there's nothing we can do about that. But no, I like Sam Darnold a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 touchdowns 2 weeks ago against Washington. 2 touchdowns against Oakland, and then he's got Cincinnati this week. Cincinnati is another game just like Washington, right? That could be another 4 touchdown game from him. I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't be shocked. I know that Wentz is playing Miami. I know that. But I think Miami is better than both Washington and Cincinnati, and at least in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm going to start Sam Darnold.
I'm completely on board with you with Sam Darnold. People are big on Wentz this year or this week. And I think part of that is because people don't want to admit they were wrong on him to begin with. And he has an easy matchup.
I think Wentz could throw for 275 and 2 touchdowns. I think that's totally fine. He maybe no interceptions. He'll have a good day.
He'll probably throw one.
And I think that Philly will win this game pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree. But
I just think Sam Darnold's a better quarterback this year.
And I also think once Philadelphia gets their lead, they're going to start running the ball. I don't think that the Jets can do that. I think they're going to continue to throw the ball, even if it's to the running back. But Sam Darnold, the last 3 weeks, he's finished as the QB3, the QB5, and the QB9. Carson Wentz has not finished in the top 10 one of those weeks.
Right.
So, I mean, like you said, we were preaching him earlier this year. I think it was the week that he got destroyed. Sam Darnold was embarrassed by New England. And I was like, this hurts. But in a couple weeks, Sam Darnold has amazing matchups. And to me, Sam Darnold has shown that when he goes up against a poor defense, he looks like a rock star. When he goes up against a good defense, he looks like he doesn't belong in the NFL. And Carson Wentz, he looks mediocre all the time.
Yeah, Carson Wentz reminds me a lot of Andy Dalton. Like Andy Dalton had these years where he's like, man, is this guy elite? Like, are we actually going to talk about Andy Dalton like he's elite? And then he has years where it's like, why is Andy Dalton in the NFL?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's been Carson Wentz's MO for his first 3 seasons. I do think that
with
Carson Wentz,
a few more injuries sprinkled in there.
Exactly. I do think Carson Wentz, his schedule for the rest of the season is pretty good. So if you wanted to try and ride him in the playoffs, you're playing the matchup correctly, in my opinion. I think there's logic in your argument.
Yeah.
With Miami, the Giants, Washington, and then Dallas. But I mean, Sam Darnold's got Cincinnati and Miami the next 2 weeks. Then he's got Baltimore, and that might end up being a shootout, right? We'll see. Baltimore's defense has kind of shown out the last 2 weeks. So,
yeah.
But I mean, this week I'm going to take Sam Darnold, man. I'm going to go with the hot hand against the bad team rather than the average hand against the bad team. So
absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, and the good thing is Sam Darnold's probably available if you guys are hurting for a QB or streaming. So, yeah. So that's all of our start sits this week. Make sure you guys again leave a comment on here. I want you guys to win this jersey. So
yes.
If you watch the video, just leave a comment. If you left a comment on a previous video, leave a comment on this video. You get another chance to win.
Right down there. All you have to do is type right down there, literally right down there, and you could win a jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.